At my mom's birthday, my nephew burned my son's drawing and shouted, "Nobody wants his stupid art anyway." Everyone laughed like it was a joke. That night, Dad texted, "You're making things awkward, just don't come for Christmas." I replied, "Neither will the money." By 1 a.m., my phone was exploding. This has been eating at me for days, and I need to get it off my chest. My mom turned 65 last weekend. She wanted to have a little backyard party at their place in Arden, just outside Asheville. Nothing fancy, some folding tables, cheap wine, cake from Ingles, that sort of thing. I didn't want to go not because of her, but because I knew the rest of the family would be there. And I knew how they are. But I went, for her. I brought my son Micah. He's 9, real quiet kid, got that artistic brain. Hasn't had it easy the last couple years. His mom walked out in 2023, left a note and that was it. Since then, he's been different. Withdrawn. Doesn't talk much at school, doesn't like crowds, but he draws. He draws all the time. I've seen him get lost in those sketchbooks for hours. That's where he goes to feel safe. All last week, he was working on a drawing for my mom. Wouldn't even let me look at it until it was done. Every day after school, he'd sit at the kitchen table with his colored pencils and work on it, tongue sticking out, eyebrows all scrunched up like he was defusing a bomb. When he finally showed me Friday night, I almost teared up. It was a portrait of my mom, his grandma, sitting in her garden, wearing that big straw hat she always wears, with her rescue cat curled up next to her. He even drew her hydrangeas and the little angel statue she keeps by the fence. It looked like something out of a damn greeting card, but better, more real. The kind of thing you frame and hang up forever. He wrapped it himself in tissue paper, put a little green bow on it, practiced how he was going to give it to her. Kid was proud, nervous but proud, so we get to the party. My brother Dean is already there. He's the golden child, always has been. Works in real estate. Drives a leased BMW he can barely afford. Married to some Botoxed-up woman named Kelly who drinks vodka sodas like water and thinks everything is suo hilarious. And then there's their kid, Chase. God, that boy. Chase is 13, big for his age, mouth full of braces, zero respect, just a cold, mean little bastard. You know the kind who kicks the dog and then laughs about it. My brother thinks it's just hormones. My dad says boys will be boys. But I've seen him push smaller kids around, steal stuff, lie to adults without blinking. There's something wrong with that kid. Micah stayed close to me the whole time. Wouldn't go near the other kids. I kept telling him, "You're good, buddy. We'll just stay for a bit, give Grandma her present, then we'll head out." He nodded, holding that wrapped drawing like it was made of glass. We waited until after cake. My mom opened gifts while everyone sat around the fire pit drinking and laughing. Nothing big, candles, sweaters, bath stuff. Then Micah stepped up, shaky hands, voice soft. He handed it to her and said, "I made this for you, Grandma." She opened it slowly, unwrapped the tissue, looked at the drawing. Then she did this weak little half-smile and said, "Oh, that's sweet, honey." Didn't hug him. Didn't ask him about it. Just set it down next to her glass of rosé like it was some birthday card from Walgreens. Like it didn't matter. Micah kind of nodded and stepped back. I could see it in his face. He was crushed, but trying not to show it. Then Chase walked over. He grabbed the drawing off the table without asking and held it up in the firelight. Squinted at it and said, "What is this?" Grandma with a fat head? Laughter. His mom, my brother, a couple cousins. Before I could get up, Chase walked over to the fire pit. I said, "Don't." Micah said, "Please don't." And that little shit just looked at Micah dead in the eye and said, "Nobody wants your crappy art anyway," and threw it into the fire. Micah screamed. I froze. For a second I couldn't move. The drawing curled up in the flames. Paper blackening, colors warping, gone, and everyone, they laughed, not all of them, but enough. Dean did that snorting laugh he does. His wife covered her mouth and said, "Oh my God, Chase," like it was some sitcom moment. My dad actually smiled. I saw it. He smiled. And my mom, she just said, now, it's just a drawing." Micah was crying. He didn't yell, didn't throw anything. He just stood there with his fists clenched, tears pouring down, staring at the fire like he was watching someone die. I got up, grabbed his hand, and we left. Didn't say a word to anyone. Didn't look back. In the truck, he didn't talk. Just cried quietly all the way home. I didn't say much either. My jaw hurt from clenching it so hard. At 10:42 p.m., I got a text from my dad. No apology. No "hey, sorry about Chase." No, that was out of line. Just, you're making things uncomfortable, just skip Christmas. That was the moment something flipped in me. I've been helping them for years, quietly behind the scenes. Ever since Dad retired early and started dipping into their savings, I've been covering bills, property taxes, fixing the plumbing last winter, helping Dean with his investment property when he couldn't make the second mortgage, paying for Mom's dental work in 2022. They never said thank you, never acknowledged it, just acted like it was expected. So I replied, "So does the funding." Didn't send another word. By 1 a.m., my phone looked like it was about to explode. 27 missed calls, voicemails, texts, all of them losing their minds. "Dean, don't bring Micah's drama into this." Mom, "You know Chase didn't mean it like that." Dad, "So you're gonna punish the whole family over some picture?" Kelly, "You're ruining everything with your attitude." I didn't answer a single one. I sat on the couch, phone lighting up every 2 minutes while Micah slept in his room. And I just stared at the wall. Angry, hurt, tired, but mostly done. I don't know what happens next, but I know what doesn't. Micah woke up quiet. Didn't ask for cartoons, didn't want breakfast. He just sat at the kitchen table, staring out the window like he was somewhere else. I made him toast and he didn't touch it. The kid's never been one to throw tantrums or act out, but this broke something in him, and it killed me to see it. I didn't know how to fix it. Hell, I didn't even know where to start. Around noon, there was a knock on the door. I looked through the peephole and felt my stomach drop. It was Dean. Hands in his pockets, mouth tight, like he was forcing himself to act calm. I opened the door just enough to make my point. He started talking before I could even breathe. "Look, man, that thing with Chase, it was a joke. You know how he is, he didn't mean to upset Micah." I stared at him. "He burned his drawing, Dean." Dean rolled his eyes. "He's 13. Are we seriously going to blow up the whole family over a kid being a little S?" I cut him off. "Say it. Say what you were about to say." He shifted. "It's not a big deal. You're making it one." I stepped outside and closed the door behind me so Micah couldn't hear. "You stood there," I said. "You laughed. You watched my son cry and you laughed." "I didn't laugh," he said, lying straight to my face. I was trying to lighten the mood. Everyone was uncomfortable. Uncomfortable? Try being 9 years old and watching your art burn while your whole family acts like it's comedy hour. Dean's face went hard. That fake mask dropped. "Well, maybe if you didn't raise such a soft kid." I saw red. I stepped in close. "Say that again and I swear to God." He backed up. "What, you gonna hit me now?" I didn't, but I wanted to. He held his hands up like I was the crazy one. "Whatever, man. You want to cut off the money? Fine. You think you're the savior of the family? Do it. But don't act like you're perfect. You've always been a self-righteous prick. You've been waiting for a reason to walk away." He turned and walked off like he was the victim, got into his BMW, peeled out like a teenager. I stood in the driveway, shaking. Later that day, my mom tried to call again. I still wasn't answering. She left a voicemail, voice all shaky and sad. Said she didn't approve of what Chase did, but also didn't think it was worth ruining the holidays over. She said she was disappointed in how I responded. Disappointed? That word hit different coming from her. I didn't call back. That night, Micah came into the living room with a blank page in his hand. "Can I use your printer paper?" he asked. I nodded. He sat down at the table and started drawing again. I didn't ask what it was this time. I just watched. About 20 minutes later, he slid it across the table toward me. It was a picture of a house on fire, not cartoonish. Not angry scribbles, it was quiet, detailed. A 2-story house with flames in the windows and smoke in the sky. But what got me, what froze me, was that there was a little boy standing outside it. Small, alone. And next to him was a man, kneeling beside him with his hand on his shoulder. I looked at him, he looked back. "I don't want to go to Grandma's anymore," he said. "You don't have to." I meant it. The next morning, I got a letter in the mail. Not a bill, not a card, a legal envelope. I opened it and had to sit down. Inside was a printed notice from a law office. My dad's name in the header. It was about the family trust, something I'd helped fund years ago. Something I'd added money to so they could keep their land, avoid selling it when times got rough. They were removing me from it, effective immediately. I laughed, out loud. Not because it was funny, but because of how fast they moved. Like they were just waiting for a reason. 3 days passed. No texts, no calls, just silence. Then Micah came home from school with bruises on his arm. He didn't want to talk about it, said he fell. But I knew that look. I called the school the next morning and pushed until I got someone to tell me the truth. Turns out a kid grabbed him during lunch. Guess who? Chase. That little bastard doesn't even go to the same school. But he was there for some bring your cousin to school crap they were trying out for Thanksgiving week. Apparently, Chase saw Micah sitting alone, walked up behind him, and shoved his tray onto the floor. Then twisted his arm behind his back until a teacher showed up. Micah didn't fight back, just let it happen. When I asked him why, his voice cracked. Because if I did, you'd get in trouble again. That broke me, right there, in the kitchen. That kid was trying to protect me. I called the school again, raised hell, filed a report, called the district office, told them if Chase steps foot in that building again, I'd file a restraining order. They tried to downplay it, say it was a family matter. I told them, you're damn right it is, and you just made it worse. That night, I got another text, this time from Dean's wife, Kelly. You've really gone off the deep end, congrats. You've officially destroyed your entire family over some kid's coloring book. I didn't respond, but I screenshotted it. I have a folder now, every text, every voicemail, every photo, every detail, because something's shifting. This isn't just family drama anymore. This is something else, something bigger, and I'm not done yet. The day after I found out Chase had hurt Micah at school, I called my dad, not to talk it out, not to make peace. Just to say one thing, you're gonna want to talk to Dean, I'm filing a report. He didn't say anything for a few seconds, then laughed, actually laughed. You're blowing this way out of proportion, he said. Jesus, Micah's not in the hospital, is he? I said nothing. Then he added, don't call here again until you've calmed down, and hung up. I sat there with the phone in my hand, shaking, not from fear, not even from anger, just disbelief, that after everything I've done, everything, they were still choosing him. Later that night, I got an email from an old friend of mine, Brendan. We grew up down the street from each other. He's a cop now, works out in Hendersonville. Not close anymore, but we still grab a beer now and then. His email was short, just a subject line and one sentence. Subject, thought you should know body. Heard Dean came in this morning asking if there's any way to report you for harassment. I stared at the screen for a full minute. Harassment, me. I haven't done anything except protect my kid and pull my money. That's not harassment, that's boundaries. So I sent Brendan a quick reply asking for details. He responded with, said you threatened him in your driveway. Said you're becoming unstable and might be a risk to the family. There it was. They weren't just icing me out. They were building a case. That's when the pit in my stomach turned to full-on nausea. It all clicked. They were trying to flip the script, paint me as the unstable one, the angry one, the violent one. It wasn't about Christmas anymore. They were setting me up to be the problem, and they were smart about it. Subtle, no formal charges. Just planting seeds, telling their version to the right people. Dean has friends everywhere. He sells houses to cops, coaches little league with judges, drinks at bars with town officials. He knows exactly how to play the game. That same week, I started getting weird messages from neighbors. One guy from church texted, "Hey man, I heard things have been rough with the family. Praying for you." A woman from Micah's school sent an email asking if I needed help getting through whatever you're going through. What the hell were they hearing? I asked the school counselor if something had been said. She got quiet and told me she couldn't say officially, but that rumors had reached the PTA that Micah was living in an unstable environment. I almost threw my phone. They were coming after me through my kid. That's when I started documenting everything. Not just the texts now, but every call, every weird look, every story I heard secondhand. I made a file. I made copies of the file. Because when people like Dean move in the dark, you better be ready to drag it all into the light. 2 days later, I went to the grocery store. As I was checking out, I heard someone behind me say, "Shouldn't he be in jail by now?" I turned. It was Kelly's cousin, the one who posts family photos on Facebook like they're auditioning for a Hallmark movie. Her face dropped when she saw me staring at her. "You have something to say?" I asked. She said nothing, just turned away and walked off. But the cashier, a high school girl, maybe 16, looked at me with a strange mix of pity and fear, like she didn't know what to believe. That's when it really hit me. They weren't just trying to punish me for pulling the plug. They were trying to erase me, Turn me into a problem, a cautionary tale. And it was working. Even Micah's school was asking questions. So I did the one thing I hadn't done yet. I booked an appointment with a lawyer. Not some big downtown guy, just a local family law attorney. Name was Cliff, mid-50s, real direct, no nonsense. I brought my folder, my screenshots. My notes, the email from Brendan, the bruises on Micah's arm, everything. He flipped through it all in silence. Then looked up at me and said, "They're either trying to go for custody behind your back or they want to get a restraining order before you can." I didn't even blink. "They'd try to take my son? Not because they want him," Cliff said, "because they want to hurt you." That's when I told him something I hadn't said out loud before. "They're dangerous," I said, "not in a serial killer way, but in a real way. A slow burn, gaslight you till you question reality kind of way. I've seen what they do to people who stop falling in line." Cliff nodded like he'd heard it before. "Then you need to get ahead of this. Fast." So we started paperwork. Restraining order? No, not yet. But a preemptive custody affidavit. Emergency notice of intent to relocate if needed. Financial trail to prove I've supported them for years. Everything. He told me to make no threats. No posts. No calls, just collect and wait. 2 nights later, I got an email from an unknown address. No subject, no name, just a single photo. It was of Micah, at recess, sitting on a bench, eating a sandwich. The photo was taken from behind a fence. Under it, one line, "You sure you want to make enemies?" I showed it to Cliff the next morning. He looked at it, slow and quiet. Then said, "We're not playing defense anymore." I don't know who sent it. Dean, my father, someone hired. But I know one thing for sure now, this stopped being about a drawing. This stopped being about Christmas. They started a fire that night at the birthday party, and they don't even realize they burned down the wrong house. I kept that photo, not just for evidence but as a reminder. They crossed a line that night. Micah was all I had. All I cared about. And they tried to scare me, threaten my son, just because I finally said no. That was the last time they got to play games without consequences. Cliff and I filed for an official safety review and temporary no-contact order. The moment the judge saw that photo of Micah, taken without consent, near a school fence, everything changed. She signed the order within the hour. Dean, Kelly, and my father were officially barred from contacting me or Micah. No phone calls, no visits, no messages, nothing. Violating it meant arrest. We served it to them 2 days later through the sheriff's office. I wish I could have seen their faces when they got the paperwork. I heard later from Cliff that Dean tried to argue with the deputy, said it was a family misunderstanding. The deputy just handed him the envelope and walked away. Now here's the thing, I'm not rich, but I do okay. I've worked my ass off for years, contracting, some side investments, a small property I rent out on the side. It's not flashy, but it's stable. You know what wasn't stable? Dean's finances. Remember that investment property I bailaid him out on? Turns out his mortgage was still underwater. He'd used my name, my credit score, to co-sign the second refinance 2 years ago when I was too exhausted to read the fine print and just wanted to help. Cliff found it when digging through financial ties to make sure I was protected. At first I was furious. Then I realized it was my out. I had legal standing to call the loan, so I did. I pulled my name, called the lender, and triggered the clause. The bank moved fast. Within weeks, Dean got a letter demanding full repayment or surrender of the property. And since he couldn't pay, they started the foreclosure process. But that wasn't the worst part for him. The worst part came when I sold my half of the trust. Yes, the one they kicked me off of, but forgot had a financial arm registered solely under my name. It was a side portion I'd funded myself during a down market. It wasn't huge, but it was enough to hurt. I liquidated it. And I didn't just take my money. I sold my stake to a developer. A developer who had been itching to build a commercial lot right next to their precious family property. The same land my dad had fought for years to keep undisturbed and in the family. Zoning went through. They lost the buffer land. 3 months later, bulldozers rolled in and started tearing up trees for a strip mall. And if you drive past their street now, you'll see a big blue sign that says, "Coming soon, Dollar General." You'd think that would have been enough. But karma wasn't done. About 6 weeks after the restraining order was filed, the school launched an internal investigation. Seems I wasn't the only parent concerned about Chase. Another kid came forward. Then another. Turned out Chase had been bullying kids for years, but no one wanted to say anything because of who his dad was. Now they were saying everything. They found notes in lockers, videos on phones. One kid had a cracked rib and had told the nurse he fell off the jungle gym. It was Chase. Every time, he was expelled. Dean tried to fight it, said it was cancel culture. Hired a lawyer, got laughed out of the room. Their family reputation, gone. And Kelly, sweet, wine-sipping, suburban Kelly. She ran her mouth a little too loud in a Facebook moms group about how I was mentally unstable and shouldn't have custody of any child. I sent that post straight to Cliff, filed for slander. She tried to delete it. Too late. We had screenshots. She settled out of court. $18,000, paid directly to Micah's education fund. Now let me be clear, I'm not proud of all of this. I'm not saying I was perfect. I should have seen the signs years ago. Should have stood up for myself sooner. Should have protected Micah better earlier. I let guilt keep me tethered to a family that didn't care about anything but control. And I let them get away with too much for too long. But once I woke up, I didn't stop swinging. Micah's safe now, he's back in therapy, still draws every day. He's got friends again. His teacher says he laughs more in class, he's healing. And as for me, I bought a small cabin outside Black Mountain, nothing fancy. Big trees, quiet, no cell service in half the house. But the rent from my old property covers the mortgage, and every morning I drink my coffee watching the sun come through the pines. The rest of the family, Dean sold the BMW, moved into a rental in a worse school district. My dad tried to guilt-trip me again, left a message on a burner phone pretending he was dying. I sent him a sympathy card and blocked the number. Mom, she finally wrote a letter. Said she was sorry, said she didn't know how bad it was. Said she wished she'd said something that night at the fire pit. I read it once. Then I put it in the same drawer as Micah's first drawing. The ashes we managed to save. Framed in a shadow box, right above the fireplace, where no one can ever touch it again. That's the ending. And it's not happy, but it's ours and it's free.